So we're recording a very, very big welcome, everybody, to this epic triple 11 gateway. Very, very profound at the moment. We've got some interesting comments and chats going on in the chat room from those who've managed to join us live. I'm just delighted to be here with you again after a little bit of a gap and a break with all of the traveling that's been going on. So welcome. Just really, really fabulous to have you all here. It was interesting using this term Prometheus and with the very, very brief introduction that I put out in the newsletter, because I did get an email, a couple of emails from readers, one of them which said, how on earth can you equate theft or stealing with the great master Jesus? Because Prometheus has also been likened to the Christ, not Jesus, but the Christ. And the Christ energy, and of course the Christ light, the Christ energy is the fire of it's the sacred holy fire that animates our spirit. But anyway, it was just really interesting getting a comment from somebody who was reading things from a very literal perspective. So we have the mythology here associated with Prometheus and a very, very deep collective and archetypal symbolism and transcendental meaning that goes along with this. So it's a very, very powerful day today and a very powerful symbol that we've been given to work with, a very powerful archetypal energy that we are working with. Please feel free to put your comments in the chat room. We will chat through as we go. So interestingly, the Mayan calendar day for today, it's not a gap day. However, we do have the perfect combination of energies. It is Kin 17, red self-existing earth is the gift for today, which is I define in order to evolve, and that evolution is a key word because this is an initiatory experience into the evolved God-man or the evolved human through this particular, through the fire codes, through the Promethean influence, and that'll become clearer shortly. So I define in order to evolve, measuring synchronicity, magic. We're in the wave spell of the White Wizard. I seal the matrix of navigation with a self-existing tone of form. It's bringing things into form, evolving form. I seal the matrix. I establish my navigation. I establish my purpose, my focus, that illumination. I am guided by the power of space. So here we have the Skywalker, which is the adventurer, which represents space and the ether. And here we have the seed, the yellow seed, which is bringing things down to earth and seeding that through the earth. This central glyph represents the red earth, red self-existing earth. So what do we have? We have this bridge between heaven and earth, which is absolutely beautiful. And that's what the 1111 gateway is. It's us being the living bridges, standing there as the living gateway between the heavens and the earth, not just as mere mortals, but as mortals who are encoded with the superpowers of the godlike attributes that we read about in mythology, and who are able to now access, activate, and start bringing those into manifestation. And at the moment, we're standing at the gateway, at the threshold of a 9-year evolutionary cycle. Very, very powerful time when these seeds will start to become more visible. So it's really significant. Very powerful day. So let's just have a look at what we've got about the Mayan day. So the archetype of this particular day encourages us to allow life itself and the heartbeat of our timeship Earth to guide our thoughts and where we focus our creative impulses. Creative impulse is fire. What initiates creativity is fire. Fire codes, that's just the big thing. Often so many of us come deeply conditioned to use only the left logic side of our brains in order to measure, define, and give form to our inspirations. Yet this leaves the finished product often devoid of the enchantment which comes from the right intuitive side of the brain. Yeah, you're right, Rachel. Definitely creative impulses. Rachel has been creating big time in the last couple of days. Some of her beautiful creations we are sharing during the process today. So I thank you, Rachel, before we even get to that point. Yes, indeed. So today, interestingly, the Mayan, we have a great opportunity to evolve our capacity to trust deeply in the synchronic timing of events in our day-to-day lives through learning to let go of the obsession with knowing everything and embracing the childlike play of exploring every moment in life as if it was all part of a deeply interconnected story. So it is that third force, the child, the marriage of the masculine feminine, the divine child, embracing that creative force and essence that is the divine child. If our minds are allowed to be the captain of our internal vehicles, then they can make troublesome slave drivers, which we know. This has led to the bad reputation the left mind has in the creative world. Both are necessary, as I've said to you guys so often before. If your heart is empowered to be the captain, then you will find your mind will very gratefully return to its place as a loyal servant to the heart. Through this healthy inner relationship, you will discover your mind is, in fact, one of your greatest allies. So it does not say get rid of your mind, which is what some practices out there would have you do. It's saying just ensure that your mind and the egoic aspects of the left brain understand their rightful place. And it is the creative impulse through the right brain which actually governs then how things are brought into form. But the left brain is necessary in order to bring that into being. So it's the balancing of the masculine, the feminine, through the heart and the fire, the evolution of the fire of creativity. So perfect timing. Astrologically, I just really wanted to share this with you because I don't have a slide. This is not astrological. This is going into Prometheus. Um, but from an astrological perspective, there are some key words that I was picking up about the astrological influences at the moment, which just dovetailed so beautifully with what we are working with at the moment. And the one comes from Kaipacha, where he says, during this time, we meet the guardian of the threshold on the hero's journey. I've spoken to you guys about the hero's journey before. It is the hero's journey that actually um, is a cycle. It's the cycle, it's the archetypal pattern of our lives. We find the hero within. We go through trials and struggles and tribulations, and we find the hero within. But as we initiate that journey, the guardian of the threshold is actually the one, the God, the higher being, the invisible being, the paranormal essence or energy who grants us certain powers with which to undertake the journey. And the guardian of this threshold is the fire of Prometheus. And he is actually known as the guardian of the threshold for the evolution of the sixth root race. And I'm going to go into that a little bit further shortly. So it's just quite fascinating that that language actually came up in a different way through the astrological insights at the moment. So I hope that makes sense to you. It is the dark side of human nature that seeks power, balanced with the emergence of the hero. So each one of you is actually the hero in this story. This is an initiation for you. This time is about summoning the strength, the power, and the glory, bringing your demons up and out of the hell into the light of consciousness. So we have the fire aspect too. Fire burns in hell, and fire also lights up and warms paradise. So here we have the two opposing attributes of fire. So we want to bring our own inner demons up out of the hell using that fire and bring them into the warmth and the light of consciousness and embrace everything through the essence and energy of the heart. Strut your stuff. Show who has the power. Stand up. Don't run away. Timothy Halloran, who does the moon cycles, gave a very, very interesting presentation through the last new moon cycle. But some of the key words that he's got, lots of shift and change right now, lots of shift. What fuels shift and change? Fire. There is a new cycle initiating, Huge evolutionary dynamics, huge opportunities for massive growth and evolution over the next 2 years. We are coming into a place and period of emotional security, stability for ourselves. So it's kind of like the fire that is not only purging some of the deeply held unconscious stuff, but that fire is also fueling the shift into elevated realms. Does that make sense to you guys? So that's just a little bit of insight. I've been gathering information from so many different sources over the last couple of days and going, oh, this is just amazing. It fits so well into this picture. Um, so let's just have a look here at the mythology of Prometheus and why and how, with the understanding, it becomes so relevant and important, and why we're going to work with this today. So, mythology is to be understood as the narration of a primordial experience, not necessarily personal, but rather transcendental. So, the myth of Prometheus is a transcendental experience. It is not something invented for the sake of entertainment, as in all of those wonderful stories, but rather a living and burning reality that exists in the psyche and culture of a people. So Rachel's just said here, Paula says, looking forward to that purging. Yep. Rachel says, makes a lot of sense. It's almost like the previous years have just fallen away and we're here now ready to step forward. Absolutely. This is such a powerful gateway. And it's kind of, lots of people are just really tired and jaded, and it's kind of like, oh my God, I've looked at that and I've done that and I've gone over and over this stuff and I just want it to be done now and I'm ready to move forward. The fire is what actually is enabling us to move forward beyond and to bring us into, elevate us into a clearer space. A myth is ectypal. In other words, it deals with the existential world. And it is archetypal, so it deals with the eternal experiences. Existence on these two levels, and this is significant, contains past, present, and future within its structure. So any mythological story and any archetype that we work with really deeply is actually not only contained within us, it's contained within the past stories of humanity, and it is transformed within the future. So the structure of the archetype itself is carried forward into the future. And each archetype has its challenges, it has its gifts, and it has its transcendental meaning and gift. Sort of that which goes beyond the mere mortal understanding, the essence and the energy, its highest form, its highest expression. So we are able to access past, present, and future when we work deeply with any of the archetypes. So this is really important for what we're doing at the moment, because we want to be able to infuse and inform and purge and alter the structure and form of the past, as well as sowing the seed so that we can set the framework for the future. So Prometheus mythology. Prometheus was a titan or a god. It's Greek mythology. It comes from the Greeks, these stories. So he was a titan, that's giant in language, also known as a god. He was one of the titans. His name itself means forethought or forward thinking. So from an archetypal perspective, Prometheus also brings to us the qualities of being a visionary, the ability to be able to anticipate, to see into the future, to look ahead and see what the possibilities are. And that's why it's you people that are here on this call, because you guys have the presence, the knowing. You've done enough work to know that you are the visionaries of the future. You may not be here to see that come into fruition, or you may be incarnate in a different form. However, you are archetypal visionaries because you have seen and felt and know the potential of what humankind is actually capable of. So this is actually part and parcel of the gift of this archetype. Prometheus was also the protector and the benefactor of humanity. So He affords and offers protection for humanity. He's often credited in some of the mythological forms of the story as being the creator of humanity. He is linked with Pandora and that wonderful mythology around Pandora's box. Pandora's box that was opened when they were told not to open it released all sorts of miseries and suffering and conflicts and struggles that were bestowed upon humankind. But the one thing that was left in Pandora's box was hope. So that's the one thing that still remains there. So yes, that is also a link between Prometheus and Pandora, that Pandora was blamed for bestowing all the ills upon humanity. Prometheus sees man who has been created and sees man trying to struggle on the earth, these mortal forms who just don't have the wisdom, the knowledge, or the insight, the intelligence, the same as the gods. And he steals fire from Zeus, from the gods. Zeus did not want to actually give mankind the knowledge and the wisdom of the gods' fire. And Zeus, being the protector and benefactor, knew that man would benefit by actually having this fire. It's also then referred to as the sacred fire or the holy fire, fire of the gods. So he stole that fire and he gave it to man. Symbolically, that represents bestowing the spirit, inspiring the spirit of creativity, which enabled mortals to actually be able to create their world in such a way that they were able to live in it effectively and to continue creating. So it's that creative urge. For the act of stealing the fire, Prometheus was then punished. So archetypally, there is also an element and aspect of punishment and suffering. So he was banished from the realm of the gods, and because he was immortal, there was an eagle that he was chained permanently to a rock, and the eagle was sent down to continue to eat upon his liver, and every night the liver was regenerated. And he had to go through the same suffering over and over and over again. It was like an eternal cycle. So that is sometimes why and how with this particular archetype. It's a very, very complex one. Light workers actually relate to this in a very intense and very deep way, because it can feel as if, what we have done is we have stepped into the realm of the gods by taking this path, that by making this choice to be light workers. And for many, it feels as if we have been made to suffer and we have been punished as a consequence of, because you find then that many light workers step onto this path and they're not being supported by humanity. They're not being supported very often financially unless they play certain games or allow the ego to take over. So there's a lot of sort of isolation as well. That's why Prometheus represents the archetypal outcast, because he was banished from his home place because of the act of taking that from the gods. So there's a lot of parallels. I don't know if you guys can actually see that or make sense of that in your own life. So how powerful this archetype is, and how we carry perhaps some of the negative. A rebel angel, yeah, who broke the prime directive. Well, one could say, did he break the prime directive? Which was, or did he gift, or was it done from the perspective of gifting man with the opportunity to grow and to become like gods? So yes, a very interesting perspective on it. So I say it's a very complex. We can all feel the separation or feeling homesick. Yes. Being unsupported brings anger, which damages the liver. Well connected, Robin, absolutely. Rosemary, yes, depends on who's telling the story. That's exactly it. And that's why there is an analogy between this mythology and the Christ mythology. It's just this kind of takes things uh, more deeply, because this mythology existed long before the stories of the Christ, and those particular events came into being. So each one has been very, very relevant for its age. It's almost like the Prometheus mythology is almost ageless. When we get down to the very nuts and bolts of it, it's actually very, very relevant. So ultimately, Prometheus was liberated and freed by a mortal hero, a human being who had found within himself, and that's Hercules, the courage to go through 12 initiatory experiences, 12 challenges, that he found the courage to go through, and he aimed his bow and arrow, he shot the eagle, and in so doing, he liberated Prometheus and he liberated the fire within humanity once more. So the fire, or the courage within the fire that is also ignited as a consequence of connecting with this in a very deep way. So there's many attributes that we see can be healed because the very archetype, if you like, that um, aligns us with some of the challenges is the same energy and essence that brings the solution and the remedy to those challenges. So we heal those aspects through working with and connecting with this archetype. So activating those codes within us. So very interesting. Just scratching the surface. So I want to share with you this little extract that I found by on this website, the Wisdom Initiative. Don't you just like this little band? I've got an image for you a bit further on, because that represents sort of the fire codes. It was actually from an image. It's called the fire codes, and it's kind of like the light and the fire reflecting within the diamond. Prometheus, one of the titans in Greek mythology, was the god of fire, master craftsman, considered the wisest of his race. So here we have another attribute of this archetype, which is wisdom. He was credited as the great benefactor, protector of humankind, giving them fire, various types of skills and knowledge. So he didn't only give them fire and creativity. He was also schooled by Athena, the goddess Athena, and imparted wisdom and skills and knowledge, which were passed through him via Athena, from Athena. His name means forethought. Prometheus was always thinking of the future, making things ready for what might happen tomorrow. And that's a key to what these codes are actually all about. These fire codes, these Promethean codes. They are unlocking the templates which enable us to make things ready for the next root race that is evolving through the fractal of the human design and the human story. As a lover of humans, Prometheus did not want to live among the clouds on Mount Olympus. He was too busy for that. While the gods were spending their time in idleness, drinking nectar, blah, blah, he was planning on how to make the world wiser and better than it had ever been before. You see how relevant this is for this 1111 gateway, where the gateway, as it has been programmed by the collective mindset that keeps focusing on the wars and the misuse of fire, has kept us in a perpetual cycle of war, revenge, anger, defending territory, more anger, more war. You know, the irony of what we're seeing at the moment is, you know, we got this lest we forget and never again, and 1111 and the reeds and and yet it keeps happening again. And the same people who are laying those reeds and wearing the puppies are the same people who keep perpetuating the pattern by selling arms, etc., etc., etc. So it's kind of like we've been held within the gateway of a particular pattern. So what we do and what we are doing by bringing in and activating these codes in this gateway is that we are helping to initiate and lay the foundation and the groundwork for the future templates. So it's reprogramming this gateway. Does that make sense, guys? I'm sure it does. I know you guys get it. So from this website we have here, for this reason and many others, I consider him as a symbol and archetype, a symbol of unconditioned love for mankind and an archetype of foresight and wisdom. By eliciting this symbol, this time I hereby declare that humanity is in a desperate need of such a symbol and archetype to reappear again. We need to develop this archetype inside each one of us. We need to educate and train a whole new generation of leaders to adopt and embrace such a symbol and archetype. Prometheus should continue to be a source of inspiration and love. So it's, you see why it becomes so complex, because it's love, it is wisdom, it is inspiration, creativity, it is education and training. So there is so much that is being seeded through us with these codes and activated, that is forming part of the new templates. Rosemary says everything causes inflammation these days, including the food. Very well said. Inflammation is, what is it? It's anger and misused Promethean energy, misuse of the fire. So it's kind of like, yes, our food is being programmed even to maintain us in a state of inflammation. So that we don't, coming into wholeness, and that, and it hurts the liver because our bodies are continually trying to detox. Very, very powerful insights. So as a symbol and as an archetype, Prometheus brings to us qualities of being a visionary, philanthropist, true philanthropy, not philanthropy with an agenda, which is what we see out there on the world stage so often. It's philanthropy that has ego attached to it. It's philanthropist without an agenda. It's unconditioned and unconditional. It's the sacred rebel, the liberator. It's the one who liberates humanity. And he was, and Prometheus was a sacred rebel. He was the one, he rebelled against the authority of the gods, and stole the fire to give to man. And without that, we would not be able to experience life in this and through this form at the moment. He is also sacrificial because he sacrificed his own position and his own place with the gods, in order to gift humanity with what he gifted them. So it represents an element of sacrifice. Can you see where the similarities with the Christ energy come in, and with the Christ story and Jesus being sacrificed for his gifts to humanity? Creator. So supreme creator, archetypal creator, outcast, as I've mentioned already. That isolation. So it's bringing us in from the cold. Prometheus is the guardian of the threshold, and here this phrase was used again, the guardian of the threshold into adulthood. It's where the boys actually develop the courage to become men. So it's the development of the divine masculine within us. So it's not only the fire and the creativity of the divine feminine that we often connect with. It's the fire that connects with the courage of the solar plexus. So he's the guardian of the threshold into adulthood. And what is happening with us as a human race at the moment is that we are coming into our spiritual adulthood. So it's also about courage. Can you see how deep and broad this particular, these energetics actually are? And how and each one of these codes that we awaken and activate within us would form like a session just on its own. So Rachel says, I'm really feeling like all of this and the story of Jesus is about seeding and then the seeds being germinated. Yes, 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 absolutely. That is entirely what we are doing. So here's another little bit of insight into the symbol of fire. Prometheus represents the archetype of the defiant, rebellious, gigantically ambitious type who refuses to submit to the existing structure. So that's where we become outcast, because all of us here was refused to be defined by the existing structures that say you need to go to a doctor, you need to take pills, you need to, sort of eat this food, you need to live this way. You need to, should do X, Y, Z, whatever it is. The testing of his values, and that's where we are at the moment. Our values are being tested. Rachel says, I'm liking him more and more. Oh, yes, me too. Can you see why I was getting so excited when I was finding all this stuff? And I'm going, oh my, he speaks to just every aspect of my own archetypal team. So help him transcend his individual needs and wishes. So what he's also doing not just for himself, but for the collective. He saw beyond his immediate situation, realized during his ordeal that he was dealing with the collective wills and factors that would be instrumental later in his reintegration into the pantheon of gods. So his chaining up at the rock, he knew, he had the foresight, and he could see far enough to know that by giving man the fire, he gave man the ability to discover the hero within. And it was the hero within that was eventually going to liberate him from that particular suffering and enable him to reintegrate into the gods. So you take that, we have all of that within us, the ability. So it's even through our own suffering, having the foresight to know that that suffering is awakening and energizing the hero within us, so that that provides us with the ability to reintegrate. Sorry, I just knocked my microphone. Reintegrate our the totality of our being with the godlike stream of consciousness. Okay. In the end, Prometheus is the child grown into a man. So can you see how this works also within you? Fire is the purest form of substance. Symbolically, it has come to indicate consciousness, intellect, will, and compulsion. It has also been regarded as sacred energy. Rosemary, yes. Okay, it's an agenda, but it was an agenda with foresight, because it wasn't an agenda from the perspective of what he could gain. It was an agenda from the perspective of understanding the implications of what he was doing on the collective and how everyone would be uplifted as a consequence. So yes, I think, it really depends on how we actually look at it, but good point. Um, Fire is also regarded as sacred energy, as a transcending power. For the primitive, fire was soul stuff and charged with dynamism. Good comment, Rachel. Rachel said perhaps a mission rather than an agenda. Yeah. So yeah, because that actually says here the testing of his values helped him to transcend his individual needs and wishes. He was willing to go through that suffering. So he was dealing with collective wills and factors that would be instrumental later. So it's accessing the bigger, wider picture rather than getting too hung up on our own suffering and struggles, in that sense. To possess fire was to know power, to be on an equal with the gods. Fire is also libido, or psychic energy, not sexual energy, which we tend to think of, but psychic energy. And for the metaphysician, it means spiritual illumination. So very, very powerful connections with the energy, the essence of fire. Bachelard explains fire in the following manner. Fire is a privileged phenomenon that can explain everything. If everything that changes slowly is explained by life, everything that changes quickly is explained by fire. Fire is ultra life, transcendental, bigger than life. Fire, listen, here's now the paradoxes, the polarities within the fire element. Fire is intimate and it is universal. It lives in our hearts and it lives in the sky. It reveals depths of substance and offers itself as love. It descends once again into matter, and it hides as a latent force like hatred or vengeance. Among all phenomena, it is really the only one that can contain two contrary valorizations, good and evil. It shines in paradise, it burns in hell. It is gentleness and warmth, and it is torture. It is cooking, and it is apocalypse. It is well-being and respect. It is a tutelary and a terrible good, good and evil. It can contradict itself. It is therefore one of the principles used to explain universal substance. And we, as the seeds and the templates for the new God man, we become enabled through the acceptance of this to bridge those polarities and hold the place and the space within us that can choose how to apply and how to use this fire. And that is the gift that is being restored to man at the moment. And that is the gift of the diamond, because the only vehicle, the only energetic form that enables you to hold such power and universal substance is the diamond. And remember, the diamond, as we know, in our diamond field is two pyramids, and joined base to base, aligned at the base of the spine, and the word pyramid means fire in the middle. We are reigniting the diamond fire. We are accepting the diamond codes. We are strengthening the diamond body through this gateway. So more analogies we have in Prometheus's case. Fire and lightning indicate intuition, the idea bursting upon him in a flash. So hence he had given man the most potent of all instruments, fire as a source of infinite energy and power that could transform matter and elements. Fire was so powerful a force that it could not be touched. Fire is equally powerful as cognition, as awareness, consciousness. It gave birth to what Bachelard labels the Promethean complex, the compulsion to know as much as our fathers, more than our fathers, as much as our masters, and more than our masters. So fire can be good and it can be evil. It can be used in many, many different ways. And it becomes our choice as responsible humans. These Promethean codes should be honored and held sacred. These diamond fire codes, which we're going to accept and be attuned to today, are part of our initiatory process as responsible, growing up into spiritually responsible humans. Prometheus this is Rudolf Steiner, very interesting. He is the archetype of the initiate of the fifth root race. One initiated not only into wisdom but into deed. So it's wisdom and action. He runs through the whole gamut of suffering and is released by the man who makes himself mature enough to free humanity little by little and to lift it above the mineral realm. Now, this is too big a subject to go into. I got some information here via Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys and a number of other sources that the root races can be tracked back to the original, through Lemurian, through Atlantean, and that we are currently in the Atlantean was the fourth root race, Lemurian was the third root race, and in each one of these root races there was a period of evolution that brought us to the fifth root race where we are now. The sixth root race is really the upcoming root race that we will not see for another probably 1,000 years manifest on the planet. However, in the same way as the ninth wave and understanding the ninth wave through the Mayan calendar, we are currently seeding the templates and the archetypes of the sixth root race, which will be the race that actually has manifestation of superpowers, the ability to create in the same way that gods create. God creates, the divine creates, truly to manifest from nothing. So Rachel says, it's now like we've gone through trials to become initiated. Now we are ready to step into our wisdom and rise up. Yes, that is what this gateway is. We've gone through, and most of you would relate to that, many, many trials and attributes and aspects of this particular archetype that we are collectively being initiated into the higher templates of the fifth root race. He is the guardian, so Prometheus is the guardian of the threshold of this initiatory experience. So he's the archetype of the initiate of this root race that we are currently in. Kat says, oh, I love that. Kat says, I dare say that Prometheus was reaching out to me as I changed the license plate on my car to wildfire. Oh, that is just delightful. Now, okay, so yes, exactly. So here's the way in which we have been unconsciously, each one of us would have been impulsed in some way, shape, or form and connected with this essence of fire. So wildfire, you see the wildfires that we've seen in nature. We've walked through the fire. Yeah. So now we are able to carry it without being burned. Oh, well said, Rachel. We've walked through the fire enough times that now we are able to carry it without being burned. Yes. And we carry that fire in order to be able to gift it to the rest of humanity. We carry it as part of our mission. We are mature enough to be able to do that, to free humanity. And the vehicle for that fire is your diamond. So these could also be called diamond codes. Does that make sense, guys? Have you like, because this is really, really just scratching the surface. I mean, I was just seeing all of this stuff connecting like this gigantic jigsaw puzzle in my head when that name dropped in, and I started looking and I went, yeah, I know, yes, I know this, I get this. It is just so important and relevant right now because we're walking through the 1111 gateway, the misuse of fire, how that has been used just by mortal man from the left brain. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, makes complete sense. So I hope that's making sense for the rest of you that are so quiet in the chat room. Um, if it's not, feel free to ask a question. Yes, we got yes, 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 yes. Paula says, resonates with Lemurian sisterhood. Love root race information. Yes. Okay. You got it. Thank you. You're ready for some fire. Okay. So here's a little bit of a summary. So Bunny says, yes, answers a lot. Okay. And it's also interesting because I said in the newsletter, just be aware of incidents occurring around this time in this gateway involving fire. And what do we have? Like literally days ago, we have another mass shooting. We've got wildfires burning again. There has just been an earthquake. Many earthquakes are caused by deep underwater oceanic volcanoes. So eruptions. So we don't know whether there's an underwater volcano gone off, but there's definitely been an earthquake. And earthquakes can also cause volcanic eruptions. Barbara says, yes, I can relate to things happening in my life right now. My internal fire has really been warming me up. There's Rachel. Cool. Oh my word. Wildfires burned down a town named Paradise. That's from Elaine. That's in the US. Very, very powerful, insightful information. Okay, so now one of the things that you guys may have been aware of just recently is stirrings in your solar plexus, because all of this is about the solar plexus. And fascinatingly, so think about the solar plexus is where our inner sun resides. Solar plexus is the home of courage. Solar plexus is where we digest fire. We actually produce acid to digest information. Acid is fire. It's perceived as fire when we have too much acid in our body. Solar plexus is absolutely huge. Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys actually maintains his words are, we are evolving through the solar plexus. So we are evolving through fire. He says what brings the core fractal of the new humanity or the sixth root race into being is the light of consciousness and the light of the solar plexus. So this dovetails with so many different perspectives on humanity's evolutionary process at the moment and different teachings and the way that they come about. So the key energy center that we're going to be working with today is the solar plexus. So the Prometheus fire codes initiate another level of the shift and our evolution. They support the strengthening of the solar plexus and the link with the heart. Fire equals our inner sun equals solar plexus, what I've just said. Solar plexus, point or gateway of evolution into the sixth root race. Therefore, we are birthing the codes of the sixth root race. We are activating these codes. It initiates, the codes initiate a 9-year cycle of maturation and growth. Richard Rudd maintains that by 2027, between 2012 and 2027, based on the fractal information, we will be experiencing and seeing the birthing of these new templates and these new super beings and super qualities and superhero type archetypes amongst us. And look at the movies that have been very popular in recent years. All of the movies that have been made as well. There is just an obsession with the Marvel superheroes and the super comics becoming the new heart. Very interesting observation, Kent. Thank you. I've been feeling for a while now that the solar plexus seems to me to be becoming the new heart because the solar plexus, infused with the energy of the heart, promotes action with love. Robin says, and courage, the courage to do what our heart is actually dictating. So it's the heart translated into action. So could we say that this gateway is allowing the divine spark to be brought down into our lower chakras and the earth? Yes, indeed it is. And Kundalini, stimulating, yes, and stimulating Kundalini. As I was sitting earlier, I was sitting with my hands over my solar plexus, and I literally could feel the fire, the heat starting up in my spine again as a consequence of this. And I have been through a Kundalini experience where that energy, in essence, rose in my spine and it had the power of a nuclear reactor. And it was the only way I could explain it. And it stayed there and it held for 3 days until it dissipated. And I knew that I was not ready at that particular stage to live with it, but it was having a taste of, and blow me down. This was 9 years ago. So we're talking, beginning of another 9-year cycle. So that's actually come full circle and it's kicking off again. But it really is. It's like the power of a nuclear reactor. That's how much power we actually have and can liberate within us as a consequence of these codes awakening. Like starting the pilot light. Yes. So this is about the responsible application of the fire element for the good of humanity. 1111 honors the sacrifices of those at the hands of great misuse of fire. So this is a turning point in the human evolutionary fractal. We see it starting all over in the political realms as people are starting to say enough. There's women rising up. The feminine is actually rising up and taking places. We just had seen more women voted into the American Congress than have ever been voted in before. Very, very powerful indictment of the feminine flame associated with this. It's about cleansing and purging. So we're going to do some cleansing of those old conflicts and reignition of purpose, conviction, and connection. So where you may have felt over the past couple of years that it may have seemed that you have maybe lost direction, that you're not too sure about your purpose anymore, things seem to be changing, the old ways weren't working. It's refiring you up. It's reigniting your inner connection with your purpose. And if it's a change of direction that's needed, it's the essence and energy to be able to take steps in that direction, in a different direction, with conviction. It's being seen. It's the courage to step out and be seen. It's all of those Promethean attributes brought into being in you and beginning to manifest through you. And reconnecting at a higher level, at a deeper level. So we reconnect with the rest of humanity through our own redemption. We have, in essence, banished ourselves because we were on this journey going through those trials and tribulations. We had no way of being able to explain or vocalize what we were experiencing within the traditional human collective. This gives us the opportunity to reconnect people in a very different way without having to force our ideas or beliefs upon anybody. It accepts them for the space that they are in, and it enables us to hold our space in connection with anybody. And the more that we can do that and hold that sacred fire, the more we will be seeding those templates for change. So we step out of conflict, but we step into connection. Does that make sense, guys? So Elaine says, reignite to a new trajectory like a rocket in space. Yes, yes. Okay, so you see, I can't believe there's like 50 minutes gone already. So, for those of you that haven't been on Facebook, here is Rachel's 11 light language. We be space cadets. Yeah, but there's a lot of people will say we're space cadets already, Elaine. We've been space cadets for a while, but now we be real space cadets. Okay, so our dear Rachel, isn't this stunning? So this is Rachel's. Rachel has been really creative and busy this week with some light language grids. So this is her 11 light language grid, and it was this grid that I was looking at, and didn't think anything of it, but I could feel the power in it. It's just absolutely amazing. Love this as well. Take a look here at this tree with the 11 outside the bark of the tree, connecting heaven and earth, reaching up to the heavens, bringing that down, bridging the realms. Just really stunning. Also balancing sun and moon, both aspects of our being. It's got silver or white and gold. So we've got all of those attributes balanced within this particular light language encoding. So it's this that we are using today rather than the spoken light language. A spark for our sparkle, absolutely, because you are all that. So we're going to reignite the spark. But now I've got another one. So I wanted you to just focus on that for a moment and just allow it. Just allow it. Just almost imagine that you can breathe that into your solar plexus. In light language, you don't actually have to understand what it says. You just need to be present with it. So it was this that sparked the Promethean download, which was awesome. Just allow yourself to breathe it in, allow your body to connect with it, to feel it, to take it in visually through your eyes, and then to take it in physically through your body into your solar plexus. Notice where it wants to go in your body, what it evokes within you, what emotions, what thoughts, ideas, what sparks, what bodily feelings, sensations, sound. So, what are you guys getting from that, if anything? Is there anything that you would like to share just on that one? It's just deep love. But again, there's a very profound warmth that's actually coming from that. It's powerful in a way that is sometimes difficult to articulate. So, Paula, we got harmony, beauty, peace, arrows of love. Beautiful. Thank you. Softness and grace of a swan in the upper left, with the groundedness and inspirational power of beauty to the right. Beautiful. Yes, those beautiful balances, softness and stability, softness and strength, so much encoded. Everything is interconnected. Feeling it in my spine, my heart, especially connecting to the trees, connecting to natures, the earth and the animals, roots. Beautiful. Well done, everyone. Words that came through this grid where everything is interconnected. Yes. Beautiful. I see the spark in the lower 11 diamond. Yeah. Also the roots. Isn't that amazing? Where we got heaven and earth connection and balance. Can't stop looking on it. Compelling, actually. outside by Swanslow Grace. Oh, Maureen, it should do because it will actually help us. It will actually help and support the rebalancing of the fire within the appropriate direction of the internal fire. Pairs working together. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Barbara, the moon is lighting up for me. Emotions, the water to balance the fire. Yes. Stunning. A soft, strong depth of balanced wisdom and strength. Feels very balancing, even though there are three inner diamonds. But it's the trinitization. Those three inner diamonds are really, really important because you've got all of those balancing aspects on each side of it. You've got those polarities. And the one thing that balances polarities is the third force. The number two in and of itself doesn't exist. Yes, it looks like DNA. Thank you, Elaine. Third eye, any two things that come together create a third force. So 1 plus 1 always equals 3. So there is always an automatic trinitization when you have the two opposite polarities. So we are the diamond that holds it all. In every diamond, there are 8 triangular facets. So symbolically, we see that trinitization. We experience it within our own being, and within the DNA. And it's sort of really representing the triple helix of the DNA. By all accounts, if we had a triple helix, and there is evidence that this is possible. People have been working with playing with it. That is the triple helix itself that will gift superpowers to our physical being. So we got Patricia, a real connection between all humanity, animals, other planets. Yes, we are all one. Marina says, I've had to bare my solar plexus. Yes, we've been protecting it. And imagine the code stuck onto my solar plexus. Love all your comments. Absolutely. You listened, Rachel. You followed the flow, flow in infinity. Very mysterious feeling of moving forward with universal creation. Spin, 4 directions in the elements. Lots and lots and lots in that image. So thank you, Rachel, for this absolutely amazing gift on this day. So that's something that has now embedded within your field through the spinning the diamond in the DNA. Yes, yeah, this is the DNA and the diamonds that actually hold that DNA in form. In form. And we're talking at the moment today with this energy about how we inform substance. Okay, so Rachel, I'm sharing this other one of yours because it was just so appropriate. Diamond Fire. So this is the one that we're going to use to activate the Prometheus codes because the Prometheus codes are also diamond fire codes. They are the diamond codes. And that's why I loved, you see why I love this image. Now you see it in its entirety. This is just, it's golden, beautiful fire. And this is what I was seeing as I was connecting with our diamonds today. I was seeing this essence and energy infusing and informing all of this and everything that Rachel has created. And also we have, you see, I mean, Rachel, you're just amazing. Look at this, the dragon. So the dragon energy that breathes this liquid golden fire into being, just absolutely amazing. So this is the one. So you've been activated with the 111111. And this is the one that I'm going to hold up and keep up on the screen when we go into the process. Yes. So I just want you to just hold this because you can imagine a golden light or golden fire pouring into your diamond, just reflecting this incredible, I mean, this looks like holy fire, sacred light as well. So imagine the dragon breathing this fire into your being, into your diamond, into this space. As we go through this process. little diamonds all in this very different energy. Can you connect with this? So this is far more defined and definite. Marina says, I'm struggling to accept this one. I was just going to say that it's a very different energy. Okay, then we have that one. There's a lot more softness. Different, there's a completely different language coming through with this. And this is definite. This is defined. This is what is going to activate the codes, the fire codes. And those fire codes are piercing. They are strength. They are courage. They are many, many, many things. As we've just actually discussed, it's not as safe, requires a stretch. That's interesting, Rosemary. Good comment. It's not as safe. It doesn't feel as safe. We're not used to the fire. Oh, there you go. Bunny says we're not used to the fire many times. Yes, a different language. Yeah, we've been burned many, many times. So this is what's going to activate and take us beyond. Can you begin to feel something? Are you guys feeling something in your sacral with this? Um, So we just got a couple of comments coming in. I just want to, for those of you who are going to be coming in later, I just want to check out the comments. These codes are more like formulas. Yes. But the earth is burning and we're here to turn it from evil to positive power. And that requires strength. Thank you, Paula. Find the dragon is protective, so it's safe to go into the fire. Yes, Paula says yes, sacral and solar plexus. Yes. I'm feeling it in my sacral center at the moment. And that's all part of because we have a hidden diaphragm that is an aspect of our sacral center. So this fire element covers an energy domain that extends from our upper diaphragm, our lung diaphragm, down into our sacral center. So it's this whole energy domain that is receiving the embedding and the activation of these codes. Yes, rumbling in the solar plexus and blazing heart. Yes, in the sacral, I'm getting destruction to rebuild. Yes. Burned. Yeah, we've been burned and think in the unbalanced feminine, so it wasn't okay. Yes. Sacrum is activating. I'm feeling the energy in my solar plexus already. Yes. Yes, yes. No wonder having problem in that area. We are, Rachel, we are the diamond fire. Yes, we are. Um, Sitting, Barbara says, I found myself sitting up straight to open the solar plexus. Yes, because suddenly there was pressure in there. Suddenly there was this request to open it up, to be able to receive and strengthen, because we've spent so many years protecting our solar plexus. Our solar plexus is the last energy center, actually, to fully mature. So it didn't surprise me when I came across Richard Rudd's work either, where he was saying the solar plexus is actually the gateway and the initiatory point through which we are evolving into the sixth root race. So I went, okay, yeah, I get that. That's really quite amazing, and it's the responsible use of fire. So we're really just kind of stepping things up a notch. Marina wanted to have a look at the other one again. There you go, Marina. Rosemary says, I feel it in my back brain as well. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you say that because I'm actually getting it in my forebrain. More the cerebral hemispheres in the front and the middle, the pineal. Okay, so I'm going to leave that up so that can continue working into our energy fields through the process. So are you guys all ready? Any other comments or questions before we start? Are you kind of getting the significance of all of this? The power and the power. What's that advert or that song? I've got the power. What? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to have a quick drink of water because I've been yakking. Multifaceted significance. Yes, and that's what I was trying to say. There's no way I could write all of this in the newsletter. So it was really just, again, very, very brief overview and then going into some of the detail, which I hope makes sense. So you guys can go through these slides again afterwards and connect with what comes up for you? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to make a noise. That was the water. Yes, light languages and these light grids and light codes, they're all packets of information, all of them. So we receive them even if we are not consciously aware of being able to connect with them. Our bodies are receiving them. So that will stay on the screen while we go through the process. So you will be constantly receiving. Okay, so I'd like you to close your eyes. Make sure that you're comfortable wherever you are. And take a long, slow, deep breath in. And if you need me to tell you, you can breathe out. But just continue with your breathing, allowing your body to establish an inflow and outflow of your breath with a natural rhythm. Be aware that as you breathe in, you may be seeing hints of that sacred golden, red, and orange fire being breathed into your being through your lungs, just helping to prime your body and your energy fields for the experience of this initiatory process. And just place one hand upon your sacral center and one hand upon your solar plexus as you give the intention to gently ease those centers open, signaling as you spiral your hands over those energy centers very gently, that it is safe, that it is safe to receive the sacred fire, that you are strong, that you have chosen to be here, that your mission upon this planet came with instructions to be present at this moment in this gateway, at this time, to receive yet more of the holy fire, the sacred fire of the ultimate divine creator, the sacred Promethean fire. Gently, gently spiral your hands. You may be aware of them getting warmer as you message to your body that all is well. All is well. And as you do this, visualize or imagine your diamond body taking form around you. For those who may be new to the diamond, to the octahedral light body form, it takes the configuration of two pyramids joined at the base to base, forming a beautiful shimmering octahedral field of light. And that field aligns itself through and down your core column, your spine, all the way down through your sacrum to below your feet, connecting above and below you with your soul star, your conduit into the beyond, the doorway through which you receive more and more of your soul essence as you evolve. And below your feet, beneath your feet, is a sphere of energy that we may know as the Earth Star, the center below, that connects you and anchors you deeply within the earth. And the very center of your diamond aligns with the base of your spine, with the sacrum, also known as the holy bone. And as your diamond connects, and you continue gently spiraling over your sacrum, your sacral center, and your solar plexus center, you are aware of an intense warmth that is building up within your body. Like a wave, it begins to pulse through your diamond, up and down, through your feet, through your bones, up through your energy centers, up to your head, up to your soul star, and everything suddenly begins to enliven with a rainbow gold color as it blends the deep rosy magenta of the earth fire with the gold of the divine fire within your field. The facets of your diamond come alive with shades of orange, gold, red, reflecting back upon each other, blending within your being, beginning to intensify the fire within your body, the fire within your diamond. And you can either keep your hands stable and held over your solar plexus and your sacral, or if it feels more comforting for you to keep your hands where they are, you can let them drop. Relaxing your shoulders. So either let your hands down by your side or hold them over your energy centers as you continue breathing, settling into your diamond space, your place of protection, a vehicle for receiving. And the fire, the energy that has already been building up within your diamond, begins to fire it up, igniting a spiraling movement as your diamond begins to spin around you, spinning. Flashing colors pass in front of your eyes. In the spinning, there is an ignition of your heart field as the flame of that multicolored fire ignites and expands your heart. You are lighter and more expansive within this field. And your diamond spins even faster and faster, holding you stable within the center of this rapidly spinning, spiraling field of energies, lifting you up, now detaching you from the surface of the earth, elevating you beyond the realm of the human, of the mortals, elevating you, taking you on a trajectory out beyond the planet, on a journey towards the dimensions and realms of the many ancient, gigantic beings of old, those beings that gave rise to the myths, to the stories, to the universal symbols and archetypes. You travel beyond the realms of the solar system, witnessing and seeing the beings and the archetypes within each of the planets. The being within the sun. You see from within your diamond space the interconnected fields of light and energy that run through the space between even just the planets in our solar system, taking you beyond, taking you away to a far, far distant planet, a distant planet that orbits around the great central sun, that is fueled by the great central sun. And this planet is steeped in an unusual blue color. It's like a blue, brilliant blue color against the backdrop of space. And your diamond comes to land upon the surface of this planet, unknown in this dimension. For on your travels you have passed through the veils and the walls of different dimensions. And as your diamond comes to land upon the surface of this blue planet, you look around and marvel at the creative beauty that surrounds you, at the beings that appear, that have been created, at the luminosity that extends from their form. You are on a pathway that is lined on either side with natural life forms that sometimes you struggle to identify as either animal or plant. They seem to defy the current laws that we have become familiar with. They are merely life forms, and they are light forms, some of which, as they inspire and expire, emit sound or language, unusual symbols that float around in the air around you, like fire codes, like fireflies, beautiful geometries and shapes and forms that last for a second and then disappear in the air. It's like walking through and down along a passage that is just filled with musical notes that you can see. And at some level you can hear. This is a place of enduring, incredible magic, a place of potential for the future of life and life forms. It is a place where the evolved essence of life sings its praise and beauty to the ultimate source of its creation, knowing it is created and yet connected intimately with its creator. It is the created and the creator at the same time, giving voice, giving sound and form and light. to the creation codes. And ahead of you is what appears to be a circular temple, enclosed by pillars, not solid in any way, and yet luminescent also with an inner light. And within this circular temple are gigantic light beings, those light beings that created and gave form to the concepts of the gods of old. They are gigantic when you look at them and look up at them. And together they are holding in place a roaring fire at the center of this temple. And you are invited to step into this temple, to join them. And the gateway through which you enter, there's two pillars that look like a glowing symbolic 11. No mere mortal gets to walk through this portal and through this doorway. Only those that have embraced their mission, that have endured the struggles and maintained their dedication and commitment to their journey, to their understanding, are allowed passage through this portal of light to circle the holy fire. You stand for a moment between the pillars within your diamond field, feeling immense gratitude and honor at being a part of this procession as you step forward through this doorway to be greeted by these immense light forms, these giants of creation. You feel small in comparison. And one by one within your diamonds you are invited to circle around the fire. And the light beings form a protective circle around you, leaving an opening. And just as you begin to wonder what the opening is for, you become aware of a stream of light, of golden fire light that seems to emerge from their sun, from this glowing, luminous, fiery body that animates their world. And then, as you watch closely, you realize that these writhing forms of light are not just beams, they are fiery dragons, bringing their luminous, fiery filaments from the great central sun down to ignite and stir up this sacred fire for each one of you. These dragons are enormous, exceptionally powerful, and in the body and the form of this writhing stream of fiery light, you see and are aware of coded language, mysterious, inscribed, fiery coded forms that make up their body and their being. For each one of you, there is a trinity of dragons. As they enter the circle, they pass through the sacred fire at the center of the circle. And then the flames themselves seem to split up so that each one of you gets a part or an aspect of these fiery dragons. The triple fold flame carrying the codes, the Promethean codes that are to be embedded and activated and awakened within you, for you are responsible for carrying the seeds of these templates, for bringing them into form for humanity. Your body immediately begins to vibrate and warm up. And if you have been holding your hands over your sacral and solar plexus, then release that now. As you open up your body and your being for the dragons to enter your body, the sacral, the solar plexus, and your third eye, igniting like a flash of lightning. Your higher, more evolved intuitive senses through the solar plexus. It ignites your inner sun that fires and informs your whole body, translates your insight and wisdom into deed and action with courage. And further down, your solar plexus is ignited and infused with the codes that grant you the powers of the creation of form. Allow those flames to work their way, these fiery dragons to work their way through you, leaving and depositing their codes within your body, each one of you, connected to the central fire by these threefold dragon flames of light encoded fire. And the fire that begins to rage throughout your body passes down through your bones, upwards through your brain, through your throat, through your heart, purging and cleansing disappointment, hurt, fear, diminishment, anything that has caused you to feel diminished or diminutive, less than worthy of this initiation. In this moment, you are aware that the grid lines within your own diamond grid open up, and that fire extends back into the ancestral realms, into your ancestral lines, carrying with it backwards in time from this present moment into all of your ancestral conflicts, purging, cleansing, clearing, reinforming, opening up doorways and gateways that you didn't know existed into the ancestral realms of being. Doorways being flung open, for it is no longer appropriate to keep anything closed off from the light and the fire of Source. You may feel that heat in your spine as those flames do their work, entering fields of conflict within your own ancestral lineage, weaving their way through the past, purging, burning up blockages, and you stand in this place of the gods in infinite gratitude for everything that has brought you to this point, to this moment, to this gift. And in this moment, you can be in complete gratitude for every one of your ancestors that gave birth and then gave birth down through the lineages, for only through their participation in this grand journey could you have taken on form. And through the clearing of the fields one by one, your ancestors, as a consequence of the acknowledgement of their sacrifices throughout the living fractal of the human story, become an integral part of you. They step forward, offering their assistance and strength and support, their courage, their life, their healing, their wisdom. And what you are ready to absorb and integrate at the moment, allow those ancestral energies and essences to become integrated within you. For the dragon fire has purged and cleared the way for reconnections. This is ultimately a journey towards greater wholeness. The dragon fire retreats as your energies now flame and burn brightly within your diamond field. The codes have been deposited within your energy centers. You may or may not be seeing or be aware of images, visions, possibilities, the wisdom of the future, the potential of the sixth root race of humanity for which you stand as a guardian and an initiate. It matters not whether you have conscious awareness of it, for it is all taking place within you. And the fire dragons infuse and inform the front of your diamond and the rest of the grid lines with the seeded potentials and the light codes of future generations. Whether or not you have biological descendants matters not, though those seeds will be sown into the collective grids for those who choose to engage biologically in the creation of new forms. You are seeding energetically within the front portions of your grids. Take a look at any scenes or visions that appear before you now as the dragon energies and the dragon fire clears and purges the grid lines within your diamond. And then the fire begins to withdraw. The dragons withdraw to that burning fire at the center of the temple. And taking a deep breath, you draw yourself up to what you think is your full height. And as you open your eyes, you suddenly become aware in this space and in this temple that your size has expanded to meet and to match the size of these gods, these infinite beings of light and wisdom, that you have stepped into their realm, that you have accepted the gift that has been offered, that you have expanded your power. You look around at all of the other diamonds in this space, and each one has expanded significantly. For that expansion is necessary in order to accommodate and hold the increase in power. The power of the fire, the sacred fire of your being. Those codes that have been deposited in your being and are coursing throughout your blood. Witness them passing through, carried through your veins and arteries, through every organ in your body, purging and purifying your space, passing through your digestive system, into your bones, seeding into the very bone marrow itself, so that every blood cell that is produced from here on is produced with the new code. And finally, there is a final gift that each one of the light beings that is surrounding each of you in this circle around the font of fire, each has a gift. You turn to face these beautiful beings of light that you now stand before as an equal, as your own master, acknowledged as an initiate of this root race. And you open your hands before them, prepared to receive whatever gift they have to offer you, that you will bring back into the mortal realm. Receive the gift, receive their offering with love, knowing that this space always exists and is open for you at any time. Your entire body feels as if it's on fire, for it is, and it will take some time for these codes, these fire codes, diamond fire codes, Promethean codes, to integrate within your being. Your being is expanding in order to accommodate them. And you take your gift, receiving it with love and gratitude, as these light beings further now bestow upon you a blessing. You may hear the blessing in words, you may receive it as a light transmission. You may experience it as tactile. Whichever way that blessing is received for you, receive the blessing. And then you turn to leave this temple. But you carry with you the remembrance and the fire of this temple, of this realm, of the superhuman capacity and your ability to be a living master in human form, a being with evolving superpowers. And your DNA is already transmuting and changing and adapting and shifting, even as you retreat from this temple, and your diamond begins to spin, and it now spins so fast that all you see is a golden whir of light, that you yourself appear as a dragon to anybody that may be watching and seeing these diamonds now descend back into this dimension. A golden spiraling spinning stream of light, like a falling star that they would wish upon, or a light being that visits them when they most need it. But as you return to this third dimensional world, you first have a detour, and your detour is via one of the earthly fields that has been subjected to the gross misuse of the fiery gift to humanity. And as a new initiate, you have the capacity to take that sacred fire into those fields of trauma, into the fields of misuse. And your diamond, as it spins around the fields, touches the surface of the soil, connects with the earth, and begins to discharge the golden filaments of fire into these areas of deep conflict, into the soil, stirring up, purifying the blood that has been spilled, purifying the collective ancestral wounds, lineages, opening up and cleansing the diamond grids to overlay these fields, restoring them to fields of hope, of new life. You spin and spiral your diamond in and out through this field, aware of the spirit forms that may have still been residing in this space, being dislodged, being finally given the gift to step through a gateway of light into their true place of rest, into a realm where they are welcomed by their own ancestors, relatives, light beings, and guardians. It's like a wormhole that you open up through your spinning and through your diamond intention within this space. For even as you do this, you are embedding and beginning to embed the new codes and light codes within the soil, within the minerals, within the life forms that currently exist upon this planet. Within the etheric energy fields that surround these places of conflict. Wherever you go, if there's anywhere else that you feel the need to visit, set up a wormhole of light, intend for it to be there, and then share your sacred fire as you purge the areas clean, restoring form, being the hero who liberates, and unchains those from their suffering. This is the true meaning of the 11:11. That our blessings, our gifts, and our work seed the blueprints for peace, purging this scarred land and tired planet with new hope. For all is well, all is necessary for the ultimate evolution and development, growth and maturity of the human form. Seed your vision for the new life and new space into wherever you are at the moment, however you see it. And then allow the spinning and spiraling of your diamond to simply bring you back to the present moment. And allow it to slow down, slower and slower, bringing you back, bringing your consciousness back to integrate with your physical body. And you take a deep breath in as you now return to waking consciousness. Take a deep breath. Welcome back. I was so hot in that, and now I'm actually feeling quite cold. It's like having a massive, prolonged hot flush. I don't know. I don't know about you. It's like, poor. Okay. Okay, Nancy. So, Barbara had to rush, and I knew she did, and I'm sorry it went on a little bit longer. Um, she said, "Feel so strong. Sorry, you have to dash." Thank you so much, all of you. I feel so much lighter and cleansed, ready to move forward to a brighter, better future for us all, and may you always be blessed. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Mary says, yes, I feel strong now. I can accept the code now. Oh, well done, Marina. That's fantastic. I know that it's actually been a bit long. I hope the rest of you were okay. Thank you for staying with us. You know, sometimes in that space, I just don't know how long it's going to be. And that's always the thing about it. It's kind of like the journey goes where the journey goes. Thank you for staying with it. I love you all. So Robin says, I could see the fire and the dragons, but the fire was like ice water the whole time. Oh, that's interesting, Robin. So you felt it as ice water in your body. Maybe it was just the contrast, and it's kind of like saying, well, the fire actually doesn't need to burn. Each one of us actually accepts and receives the fire in a different way. And it was maybe, I don't know, is it the fear of being burned somehow? It may be that there was an old fear of that, so that the receipt of the fire was done through a different temperature experience, covered with a blanket and still cold. Very interesting. Well, do you know, I mean, we talk about the fire, but sometimes when we are experiencing those frequencies from the ultra high dimensions, which is interesting, that it is experienced as cold. Yeah, Paula says feeling cold now. Yeah. So was I when I came out of it. I suddenly went, oh, I'm cold now. Covered with the blanket. That was Rosemary says that was very emotional for me. Oh, wow. Wow, thank you. Feel blessed to be part of this. Many good wishes to all here. Absolutely wonderful. So Gateway 11 felt cleansed in the fire, feeling cold now. Yeah. And I think that's it. It's that recalibration through the temperatures. Marilyn says, thank you so much. Now I'm really cold. Yeah. There's another one. Nancy says, I have to put my slippers on. Another one says, very powerful. Found the portion with connecting with ancestors and former timelines the most potent. It felt like I was helping to detangle a bunch of lines, almost like untangling necklaces. That's an interesting analogy. Also, because I was just seeing the lines being purged and opened up, and ancestors stepping forward. You know, they've been ignored for too long. So bringing them in as a component of this, sort of each time we do it, really grants them power and contributes to our own wholeness. So we've also got Laurie says, my cat came into the room just as we began as asleep on the bed. Feel we need to be here. Feels he needs to be here for support. Feeling a bit chilled now as well. Yep. Elaine says, powerful. Gone, gone, gone for the first 20 minutes, then back with getting leaves of gold, red, and orange from the tree of life. Oh, that's amazing. Which were able to be crumbled in my hands and then used as fire starter. Legs cold, but leaves gave solar plexus warmth. Wonderful, Elaine. That's fantastic. Rachel, there were so many different experiences with that process. When the fire dragons first came in, I was lifted up so that I was eye to eye with the beings. Oh, I heard, never doubt your size. You are gigantic within. Fantastic. Yes, 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 yes. And yeah, again, and I know we've worked with this feeling of total expansion before, and this just felt different. This didn't feel expansive in an airy fairy way. It felt expansive in a very anchored, grounded, solid way. That's the only way I can describe it. But it was like there. It was like you are this. You are this incredible being. Natalie says, wow, 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 this brought so much clarity for me, especially after the past month. Oh, beautiful, Nat. Thank you. So many colors, so much orange, so many beautiful creatures. One was blowing bubbles. Oh, it's lovely. And the bubbles were popping into new life forms. Creation was so effortless. Yes. The honor to carry the flame and see the earth so profound. Beautiful. Thank you. So we got other polar wizardry, isolated area of polarities of temperature. Um, Again, Isabel, I'm also very cold now. Thank you. Okay. Nat also started the process at 11:11. Oh, that is so interesting, Natalie. Thank you. Kat says it was like the lines from the ancestors had the clear pathway to step forward. Yes. Beautiful symbols and life forms on the pathway. I love that. Stunning. I saw all of our diamonds connect together, that we could work together to increase the intensity of the fire we create. Whoa. That's really powerful, Rachel, because never forget that within our diamonds, we also amplify that essence and energy. So when we combine the power of all of our diamonds, it is exponential. So it's a huge opportunity and potential that we have within this community and with groups. Nancy saw bright points on the grid lines disappeared and each one shined brightly. Oh, lovely. No fear with the fire energy. Very expansive. Golden dragon filled the entire space here, standing beside me, behind me. Oh, that's just absolutely wonderful, wonderful with those experiences, everyone. How powerful is that? I mean, it's just so funny. I was aware of the heat building, and then as everything started integrating, then just beginning to dissipate. And it is kind of like that message that we are not burned by the fire, and I think that's really important because we have been burned by the fire, by the physical fire, because we actually accepted and followed the holy fire in the past. And it's releasing and cleansing those patterns. Elaine says, like a New Year's celebration in China. It's delightful. And I want to share with you, because as I opened my eyes and looked at this symbol, what I saw straight away was this spiraling, and that to me felt like, this being right up here at the top of the image, it really almost felt like that was what was drawing our diamond out of this dimension, pulling us into another dimension. So there's something about that spiral. And then the other thing that I saw is that I actually have an uncreated light code, which looks very similar to this. And Rachel, if I get the chance, I'll actually show it to you. So it's just the light codes and the universality of that language is also really interesting. The other thing that I saw in the meditation was just the life forms along the pathway, literally breathing all of these light codes, these light language codes into the air around them. It was just, and some of them I could actually hear, which is unusual for me because I'm a very visual person. So quite fascinating that. So let's see, what have we got? Rachel said, as we also brought the fire to the earth, I firstly went to the Somme and then to Culloden, then realized the whole of the UK, yes, needed releasing. I rose up high above the earth and dropped a firebomb into the center of the UK. It created a huge ripple outwards, and I felt the pain and trauma. Oh, well done, Rachel, being released. Lots of heat in my lower back. Felt so strong and powerful, but not in a controlling way. That's the essence of it. Rachel says, very similar to the Mayan glyph you showed earlier. Yes. Yeah, it is, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Kat, it feels so perfectly timed with Veterans Day today, healing the wounds of war. Absolutely, it is. That's also what it's intended to do. It's removing the distortions that have existed around those wounds and the conflicts. Thank you, Rachel. She says, I spoke a lot of light language around the process to help activate the codes. Elaine says, yes, Kat, and as a veteran, I know you're a veteran, Elaine. I'm grateful for this happening on this date. Paula was in Syria releasing souls. Oh, that's wonderful. Middle East. I was also over in the Middle East. I actually started off in somewhere in Europe, and I couldn't tell you where it was. And then I was just in and out of fields, and then I was somewhere in the Middle East, just drawn to doing whatever was needed in respect of releasing. But I actually saw a lot of souls being released through this process. So I just want to thank you all for the gift that you have shared, because those souls didn't realize that they went into war with the courage. They had incredible courage. Rosemary said, I was clearing fractals, um, and didn't realize that they were being sacrificed for greed, the greed of the military industrial complex, and sacrificed on the altar of fear. And there's so many huge things around that. There's the essence of betrayal as well, that at the soul level they would be experiencing. So the work that we do always on this date is a very, very powerful healing around that. And I think it's something that we can do consciously as an ongoing thing. Laurie said she began in France and went to Germany. That's interesting. Maureen went to Hiroshima, Japan, and balanced my horror of living through that time of my young life. Wow, Maureen. Yeah, that's a huge trauma. That it's a scar and a wound that resides within the collective. So thank you for that. Rachel says, in the UK, the German president was standing with Prince Charles. Yes, I found it extremely emotional. I was born in Germany and never felt people were our enemies. No, that's exactly it. They're not. They were just so programmed into following the beliefs of a power, of an external power, because they didn't realize that they had the power within them. And this is the real lesson and the learning, and why it's also important this day, because the Promethean codes and the Promethean energy supports us in being the sacred rebel that stands up to authority and does what we know is right. So it's not just following somebody for the sake of following, it's doing what we know to be right. And that's probably one of the most important gifts as well that we can share as a consequence of this. Wow, we had a fabulous group today, and you know, the fact that it was 11:11, we had 22 live on the call, so that is just amazing. Very, very significant, and of course, 22 is also about building and creating new foundations. So again, huge synchronicity. When we open our eyes to see it, the magic and the wizardry of that amazing synchronicity is just so powerful. So Elaine says, I apologize for our current leader of the USA, the France appearance as an American. I'm appalled. Do you know what, Elaine? I put a post, and I know you're not on Facebook. I put a post on Facebook the other day which said, in regards to the record numbers of women that have actually joined the race and stood for office with the US Congress. And there are just more women than ever before now being represented. And these are spirited women. They are not women pretending to be men. They are spirited women actually doing what is right. This is sort of following on from what I was just saying, and it's really interesting because without Donald Trump, so we need to sort of look at that and change our perspective and look at it from a higher perspective. That at the soul level, he is performing such an incredible service because this is fueling the evolution. So no matter what he says, we look at him and we judge him from the personality perspective because that's where in the mortal realm he is actually trapped. At the soul level, he is doing such an incredible, goodbye everybody, thank you, such an incredible job in respect of waking people up so that they stand up to him. It's from a much, much higher perspective. And he is fueling such incredible change. Rosemary, thank you, darling. Goodbye. Lots of realizations regarding programming, but so much hope in the commentary. And that is it. It's reaching into Pandora's box. These Promethean codes open up and dig into Pandora's box as well and find the hope that we can restore. And it's a very, very powerful energetic process. Yeah. Yeah, it's nauseating when we watch him at the physical level, so it's difficult. Yeah, we need to just step back. Everybody, I'm aware that it has, and it's 2:02, believe it or not, 2 hours and 2 minutes on my clock. It's been a long time. And yeah, working with this and working with the codes will actually start elevating that programming into conscious awareness. Yes. Going forward, we can do this when guided. Yes, 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 absolutely. Keep on doing it because it will continue to integrate that fire to continue the purging and integrate these codes within. And because of the depth to which these Promethean codes go, I'm also looking at extending it through the next couple of monthly events so that we can isolate one aspect of these codes and go more deeply with it. Oh, there's a lovely carrying a prism in my pocket will help me each day connect with this session. Ah, I love, yes. Okay. Mwah. You are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I thank you all so much for staying for the duration of this. I realize it has been a long teleclass and it's so special. It really feels like the initiation of a brand new direction and just a different way of beginning to work with things, of recognizing, of seeing, of exploring. It's a way that involves and includes intellect and wisdom and love and the energy work that we do, and just really is sort of peeling back the layers and taking us more deeply. I'm honored to share it all with you. Be warm, go and wrap up, enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, get your hot water bottles, put your heaters on. And yes, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Rachel. Huge thank you for this, for the codes that have supported this journey. They are absolutely stunning. Your creative work is amazing. And diamond heart hugs right back at you all. Thank you. I love you. What a wonderful gift. I feel reborn. Love you. Thank you all so much for being here.